What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. Just sitting outside the house, chilling, and I'm looking, and I was just doing my research on boxing and came upon some news from Tevin Farmer in his fight with William Zepeda, something that nobody has really spoke on. So I want to go ahead and speak on this, man, evolving the drug testing between the two. And before I get into this article or whatnot, I wanted to say, man, it's funny because I actually just did a video about this about a month ago with my homeboy Calvin Henderson, who fought Dave Morrell, right? And this same issue that Tevin Farmer, that I'm finna read about with Tevin Farmer, Calvin had the same issue. And not only Calvin, it was an Beko or something like that, Jocko, whatever. So it was another fighter that fought Dave Morrell who had the same issue where their fight did not get tested for their fight. They were supposed to get tested or whatever, drug tested or whatever, and for whatever reason they never got tested for their fight. And now, and if you notice, these guys are the opponents to the guys that people have money behind, by like the David Morrell, the William Zepeda. David Morrell is backed by the PBC. William Zepeda is backed by Golden Boy. So this is a crazy story, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into the article, let you guys hear the article, and then I'll briefly spin my opinion on it. So shout out to the Boxing Tribune.com. It says Farmer Zepeda drug testing irregularly raises concerns. WBC Golden Boy snub accountability. Okay, so it says last Saturday, Tevin Farmer went into Golden Boy's Latino night card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as the decided visitor. He would perform about as well as could expect it, dropping the number one ranked lightweight contender Zepeda before losing a close split decision. The 34-year-old former world champion, however, walked away with more questions than answered in what should have been a career revitalizing performance for the interim WBC lightweight title. Farmer asserted that, contrary to the WBC's regulations and his own contract stipulations, there was no drug testing for this Zepeda fight. Every other championship fight on the card was drug tested. Why not me and Zepeda? I have many questions, Farmer said the morning after the fight via Twitter. I kept asking before the fight. They told me after the fight, we were short-staffed. How? It was only 6 fights on the card. It's suspicious. They said after the fight, and still no test. I'm just saying boxing is dirty. The lack of testing violates WBC regulations for sanctioned title fights, and specifically its clean boxing program, which specifies that drug testing is mandatory to men's boxing for all world champions and the first 15 classified in each division. Zepeda is ranked number 1 by the WBC, and Farmer is ranked number 13. So, if for y'all that don't know, boxing is the WBC is mandatory to take tests when you are ranked in the top 15 in the organization. So, in the WBC organization, if you're ranked number 1 through 15, you have to be tested. Before fights, after fights, all that. Golden Boy also stands in the violation of the terms of Farmer's contract, per Farmer's assertion. This is a big story, or at least it should be. However, not a single major boxing website nor any major boxing media voice have reported on this violation protocol. They haven't even mentioned it. The defending silence could be attributed to the fact that much of the media is now flat out owned by Saudi Arabia's interests. Ring Magazine and its reporters are properties of Saudi boxing figurehead Turki Al-Sheikh. And for y'all that don't know, Ring Magazine used to be owned by De La Hoya, and De La Hoya just recently sold it to Turki Al-Sheikh. Yahoo's Uncrowned is tied into the Saudis via business interests. DAZN and its reporters are tied to the Saudis through their dealings with Al-Sheikh. There are other rumors, but as yet unconfirmed entanglements and tying Saudi Arabia's interest in other high boxing profile media voices. The WBC and Golden Boy, who both oversaw the sanctioning of the bout and the accompanied fighter safety responsibilities, are also tied to Saudi Arabia's via Riyadh season partnership. The Boxing Tribune reached out to both entities for clarification and comment. The WBC completely ignored the request for a comment. A spokesman for Golden Boy, meanwhile, issued an audio reply. "I am currently traveling internationally. I'll reply as soon as possible," but never followed up. If either chooses to reply, this article will be updated, included their response. But why would Golden Boy and the WBC bother to comment when they feel they really don't have to? With all the major media sources bought into the silence of the others, afraid to speak for fear of offending the wrong. My bad. Fear of offending the wrong people. The only news that reaches the mainstream boxing fans from this point will be the Saudi state to prove its news. The Zepeda and Farmer bout carried extra significance coming into Saturday's contest. It was supposed to set the table for a reported February Riyadh season showdown between Zepeda and WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson, who recently signed with Saudi partnership Matchroom Boxing. It was Golden Boy's first Saudi Arabia season card. Could there have been some shady dealings in Saudi Arabia Saturday night to ensure Zepeda made it to the February Stevenson bout? Maybe, maybe not. Nobody outside of a select few located in deep inside the kingdom and within the WBC and Golden Boy knows for certain whether this lack of drug testing for this contest was made mere oversight or if something was more sinister in play. There is also a secondary concern as to why this title bout was oddly scheduled for 10 rounds when men's title fights are always 12 rounders. And I also thought that was kind of weird too, that they were fighting in a 10-round bout rather than a 12-round fight. But with no real media attention, there's not even a marginal call for accountability. The story will simply fade away, thereby setting a trend for future stories to be similarly fade away or be buried by state-sponsored media infinitely more powerful and far-reaching than independent media. Welcome to the new normal for boxing media, which is already deeply compromised and stifling. It would be safe to assume that the entire Saudi boxing run, nothing seen or heard can really be taken for fact. Therefore, no guarantees can be regarding safety regulations or fair play. And none of us will really know about anything that's going on unless a fighter speaks on his own behalf. As far as Farmer, he could file a lawsuit in protest of what happened. However, the 34-year-old fighter looking for paydays in a world where most of the champions and many of the high-ranked contenders are tied to Saudi's interests will waste a lot of valuable time trying to pursue justice that way. So basically what they're saying is if Tevin Farmer was to pursue this and try to press, go into further investigations and press charges, whatever the situation may be, maybe not press charges, but he can't press charges, but file a lawsuit. That's what I meant to say. File a lawsuit in this. He basically will be blackballing himself, as the Saudis are tied to a lot of boxing, so they could pretty much blackball him, and he wouldn't have any fights. So it's kind of like, damn, bro, like I can sit here and talk about this, but I'm gonna mess up my career in doing so, or I can be quiet about this and just know that it was some foul play involved, which is kind of a crazy decision. But most likely Farmer will just have to swallow what was dealt to him and hope he falls into someone's good graces the next time he signs onto a fight. This is unfortunately will also be the new normal when it comes to fighters choosing to compete under increasingly tightened overseas monopoly. So, oh my goodness. You know, man, I really hate to hear stuff like this because I mean, if you want to be if you want me to be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you some stuff that they don't really talk about in boxing because I know guys that are on the inside. I'm not gonna speak on any names, but I know guys that fought guys in the PBC and stuff that they had to deal with, and you know, boxing is never on a fair. You're never on a fair shake with boxing. I'm just gonna keep it 100. You're never on an even playing field with boxing, bro. And the reason why is whoever that company has their money behind, you best believe they're gonna put them in every situation where they can win until they fight somebody that's of other significance. So meaning that William Zepeda is the guy that Golden Boy is backing, so they're gonna put their money behind them, right? I personally know somebody, and I really shouldn't even be putting this out, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop some gems on y'all real quick. I know a guy, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I know a guy, and I'm not even gonna say when he fought or who he fought because I don't want anything. You know, if this were to get out, I don't want anything to come back on him. But I will say, I know a guy who fought a PBC fighter, right? And this, he told me that he was telling me all the I'm trying to think of how I can say this without saying too much, but I will say this. Now, okay, I'll say this. It was during COVID, right? It was during COVID, back when they had the bubble, right, and everything, right? And he was telling me how the how it was so unfair. Like, basically, he couldn't even, the week of the fight, he wasn't even allowed to, while his opponent could do whatever he wanted to do, he wasn't even allowed off of that floor, off of the floor that his room was on, right? So he wasn't access to a gym, so he had to like run like across the top floor while his opponent had a gym, had water, had nutrients to hydrate himself and all that type of stuff. They wouldn't allow him to get water. Like, they brought him, like, he had food vouchers that he couldn't even, in one of the days he couldn't even eat anything. They wouldn't give him anything to eat. He couldn't get any water sent into him. Like, it was just some shady stuff that they were doing or whatnot. The same thing about, the testing or whatnot. He couldn't go out, like I said, he couldn't even leave the floor or whatnot. Like, they brought like a cup of water, but it was like he couldn't get the water that he needed for himself or whatever. And it was just like, man, he just, after the weigh-in, like, he had to do a whole bunch of other stuff while his opponent, just relaxed. Like, it's just not a fair shake, bro. It's not a fair shake. And when they have money behind a person, it's never a 50-50. You're never on an even playing field, bro, with boxing, bro. Just like the situation with David Morrell. I got a homeboy, Cal. I did a video. Now, I can speak on this because Calvin has spoke on this on other platforms. So, Calvin Henderson, who's a close friend of mine. This is not the same guy I'm talking about in the earlier story, but Calvin Henderson, who fought David Morrell, another PBC fighter. And I'm not bashing the PBC, but I'm just saying, like, these are the stories that I've been given or told. David Morrell, they didn't do any testing for him. They didn't do any testing for David Morrell or anything like that or whatever. And so stuff like this happens, and it definitely should be spoke more. It should, more light should be shedded or shined on this or whatnot, because it's a situation where it's just not fair, And William Zepeda, Tevin Farmer fought a damn good fight. A damn good fight, bro. I watched the fight. He definitely caught William Zepeda with a pull counter. It was beautiful. Dropped William Zepeda. I don't think William Zepeda is ready for Shakur Stevenson. But I would love to see. Still love to see that. Go ahead and make it happen. But it's something that needs to be spoke on more often, because this is stuff that has been going on from the beginning of time with boxing, bro. Boxing is a very corrupted sport, bro. Very, very corrupted. Very it's just it's a lot of this that goes on, and it's a lot of foul play that goes on. And then I remember I not only heard this from Calvin, but even guys like Paulie Malignaggi has spoke on the fact, saying that a lot of these top fighters that these guys like, a lot of them are juicing or doing something dirty, doing something dirty, but they get it swept under the rug because they have money backing them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a sad situation, bro, because you wonder without that money backing them, how good these guys really are. Imagine how many fights we've seen where a less known opponent has gotten robbed, like I can name so many opponents, and you guys can too, where because it's a prime example right there, where a less known opponent has come in and should have won a fight, but instead they give it to the guy that has a bigger name. It happens all the time. I remember when Rolly fought, what's that dude named Jackson Martinez or whatever, and Jackson clearly beat Rolly, but because Rolly was the person that had the money behind him, that's just the first one that came to my mind. Rolly had the name behind him. He was able to get that victory. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people feel like with Teofimo Lopez and Jermaine Ortiz, or not Jermaine, or what was the other dude? I can't think of the other guy. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Not much of a puncher, but they felt like he really beat Teofimo Lopez, and of course Teofimo got the victory. Just a lot of. I can, especially if I do my studying, I could go down a list of fighters that got robbed. This is just a sport of boxing. It's a dirty business. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really mean for this video to be this long, but stuff like this needs to be spoken on. So I definitely wanted to give my opinion on it. Okay. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Sorry for the long video, but it is what it is. This stuff needs to be shined on or whatnot. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?